This week on Trans World Sport, we go trail running in the picturesque Austrian Alps.
We meet Alfie Hewett, one of the world's leading wheelchair tennis players.
We're in Saudi Arabia for a beach sports tournament on the site of the futuristic city of Neom.
And we examine whether Argentina can follow Colombia in producing a Tour de France winner.
The latest round of the Speedway World Championships was staged in Wrocław in Poland. More Poles occupied the top 10 spots on the leaderboard heading into the meet than riders from any other country. Bartosz Smartslick was just outside the podium places. Patrick Dudek was on top and hoping to impress the bumper home crowd.
I used to be a fan myself, and now the spectators are applauding me, which is amazing. The biggest thank you, in my opinion, is after a successful competition, and I hear the fans chanting, "Patrick Dudek." It's such an amazing feeling. It sends shivers down my spine. It's just beautiful. I think only athletes experience that kind of feeling.
Over 12,000 spectators turned out to show their support in Wrocław. Despite the strong Polish contingent, perhaps no rider was more popular in the city than last year's world champion Ty Woofenden, who made his long-awaited return from injury. The 28-year-old had not featured in any other speedway race this season, having fractured a vertebra in his spine and broke his shoulder blade back in June. We caught up with him after the second heat.
Oh, it's just so good to be back on the bike, and enjoyed my first race, enjoyed my second one, and just chasing a little bit of a better setup so we can have a bit more speed. But you can definitely tell I've had 2 months off the bike. Just not quite there with the boys that have been racing week on week. So we'll just take our time.
Ty gained 6 points in the heats, which was not enough to secure a semi-final spot. Local favorite and table topper at the start of the day, Patrick Dudek, did make it to the first of those semi-finals, though.
Wow, what a lineup. Emil Sayfutdinov, the World Championship leader, goes off the inside. Gate number 2 is Martin Vasilik, who's 5th in the world standings right now. Patrick Dudek, 4th in the world standings right now. And Leon Madsen, 2nd place in the World Championship, 2 points behind the man on the inside, Emil Sayfutdinov. We have the semi-finals and the final to come here in Wrocław. The halfway stage of the World Championship, round number 5. And who's going to get there? It's a very tight first turn. Can they all stay on the bike? They can, and Vasilik is there. And now here comes Madsen in yellow. Leon Madsen comes through. Vasilik has that lead in blue. Then it's Leon Madsen tries the inside run. Now here comes Dudek round the outside of Sayfutdinov, and Madsen takes the lead. This is unbelievable speedway as Vasilik comes back for more.
Oh man, Martin Vasilik and Madsen riding superbly well. Martin Vasilik forcing Madsen wide. Does that leave the door open for Sayfutdinov? Not quite. Hell of a race out in front. Sayfutdinov just hugging the inside line. Will it pay off? Madsen once again pushing hard. Dudek round the outside. Has his chance gone? We're into the last lap.
How close they are.
There's not much choose between the 4 of them. Martin Vasilik and Madsen down the back straight.
Well, the 2 up front are looking good at this stage. We're in the closing stages of semi-final 1. Martin Vasilik from Leon Madsen, and Sayfutdinov takes 3rd. So that's Sayfutdinov the leader and Dudek out of the final. Wow, Martin Vasilik and Leon Madsen threw the bike at each other there. Great respect between the boys. Look at that, that's great to see.
Superb race, Nigel. Once again, Madsen just going through it, enjoying the race.
We got a bit close there, boys.
We did indeed. We had to just breathe in a touch once or twice. Super racing, and here's semi-final number 2. Got a feel for Sayfutdinov. He misses out after scoring 13 points, scores 14 on the night. But won't make the final, nor will Dudek.
And we're up to semi-final 2 here. Janusz Kawadze off the inside. Then it's Antonio Limbach, gate 2 in blue. Maciej Janowski, gate 3 in white. Can he produce a bit of magic to go with his nickname? And Bartosz Marslik is off the outside gate in yellow, currently 4th in the world standings. And it really is a fascinating lineup here, Kel.
Indeed it is. Janowski once again being chanted by the crowd, desperate to make the final tonight.
Here we go. Away from the start, Kawadze has got there from gate number 1. Watch out for Smarslik in yellow now. He's made it look easy there. He's gone across the outside. And now here comes Janowski up the inside. Is there any way through on Kawadze? The Poles really putting it on the line here now. And Kawadze holds second spot. Smarslik has the lead. Kawadze is second. Is there a gap there for Janowski down the back straight?
Yes! Oh, incredible there. Kawadze just losing momentum, leaving the door open. And Maciej Janowski took the opportunity and he's through. Smarslik's away. He's comfortable out in front. He's looking like a finalist. And Janowski, can he hang on to second place?
Well, where does Janowski go? He's going high into the dirt here. Is that the right way? Kawadze just passed him.
Oh,
now Janowski has repassed him.
Wow!
Now Kawadze tries the inside. Keep the wows coming, Kel.
Wow! Brilliant stuff. I'll do it again. Wow! Janowski around the outside. The chance to the line. Which way is it going to go?
Oh, yeah, Kawadze has held on.
Wow! Incredible Speedway in semi-final 2. Janowski and Kawadze literally swapping places every corner. Smarslik unaware of the fireworks that were going on behind him. Disappointment for Janowski in the end. And Kawadze, who's had a great night, just hanging on to second place there. What a race that was.
It was proving to be a great night for the Poles. Bartosz Marslik and Janusz Kawadze both making the final, alongside Slovakia's Martin Vašulik and Leon Madsen of Denmark.
It's the grand final here in Wrocław, and it's Martin Vašulik, the Slovakian, off the inside gate. Janusz Kawadze, can he make it 2 Grand Prix wins in 5 rounds? He's off 2. Leon Madsen, a point behind Emil Sayfutdinov in the title race. He's off gate number 3. And Bartosz Marslik, 3 points behind Emil Sayfutdinov in the title race. He's off the outside gate. Yes, it's a massive lineup here, the grand final, the halfway stage of the World Championship. Madsen has made the start, and the lights have not come on. The race continues. Madsen made a real quick start there. Vašulik has the lead right now. Watch out for Smarslik in yellow!
Oh, what a move from Smarslik, like a torpedo going into turn 3 on the opening lap. Just at the inside of Martin Vašulik, took him by surprise. Madsen's out the back. Thought he might have had a roller, but he's penalised himself in the end. But what a move from Smarslik. He's hit the front like he did in the semi-final, coming from the outside. Kawadze back in 3rd place. Can Madsen do anything about it? Can he get himself on the rostrum?
Smarslik with a win here will be level with Sayfutdinov in the World Championship, but Madsen's come through into 3rd. And now Kawadze is going to try and return the compliment. 1 lap to go here. Smarslik has the lead. Vašulik in 2nd. Then it's Leon Madsen in 3rd. A point for Madsen will put him level with Sayfutdinov. Well, once again, we're going to go into the next round of the World Championship with 3 riders level on points to the top. It's Bartosz Smarslik who takes the victory.
Wow.
Martin Vašulik 2nd. Then it's Leon Madsen 3rd. And that means that Smarslik is on 61 points. Also, Emil Sayfutdinov and Leon Madsen all on 61 points. A 3-way tie at the top of the World Championship at the halfway stage. And it's many congratulations to that fella. Brilliant, brilliant, Bartosz Smarslik.
This night is unbelievable for me, and but I stand up today on the bed, and I think so today is not bad day. I'm feeling now is very happy.
And now for this week's quiz question. This year's World Judo Championships take place in Tokyo in Japan, just a year before the Olympics is held there. The home nation will be the favourites to top the medal table, having won more medals at the event than any other country. Nevertheless, a judoka from South America will be hopeful of challenging the Japanese and adding to the 4 medals she has already won at the event. In 2013, Rafaela Silva became the first Brazilian woman in history to win gold at the World Judo Championships, a feat she achieved in her home city, Rio.
It was a great event for me. It's such a special feeling when you compete on home soil, because you go out there and everyone's shouting for you. Everyone's on your side, and when I saw that they'd awarded Ippon, I didn't know what to think. I'd just become the world champion.
Rafaela grew up in the favelas in Rio. It was perhaps fitting that 3 years after becoming world champion in the city, she would clinch gold in the 57-kilogram category at the 2016 Rio Olympics. The 27-year-old will be the favourite in her category at the World Judo Championships this year, and it's this event which gives us the subject for our question. We want you to name the most successful judoka in the history of the championships. We'll bring you the answer later in the show.
In July, 22-year-old Egan Bernal became the youngest Tour de France winner in 100 years. The diminutive Team Ineos rider clinched the race leader's yellow jersey with his explosive riding in the mountains. He was one of 3 Colombians to feature in the top 10, which is more than any other country. Colombia has a history of producing Grand Tour riders. Luis Herrera won the Vuelta a España back in 1987. While Nairo Quintana has won both the Vuelta and the Giro d'Italia in recent years. But could Argentina be part of a new South American cycling revolution? Earlier this year, we traveled to Argentina for the Vuelta a San Juan to find out. Eduardo Sepulveda and Maximiliano Richese currently ride with Pro Tour teams.
I have only 2 roads in my city. It's in the middle of Patagonia. There is very flat. So, when I started, I did only time trial because it's not so many cyclists. So I do training alone, only time trial. But after in the national team in juniors, they put me on the track because it's a lot of racing on the track.
The difference between Argentina and Europe is more than anything the mountains. We have mountains, but not many. Where I come from in Buenos Aires, it's all flat. There are no hills. This is why we come here to do our road cycling. We have more track cyclists. In reality, the culture of Argentinian cycling is to begin with track cycling. That was the first schooling.
The track has proved a means of launching the road careers of young Argentine riders like Sepulveda and Richese. However, many people believe that more financial investment, specifically in road cycling, is needed to take the sport to the next level. Gregor Brown is a cycling journalist.
Argentina has that over some of these other countries in South America. They have that history in cycling with the track program, so they need just that boost. Some of the companies that are watching this race will get more excited about cycling. Perhaps they will fund a professional continental 2nd division team that can compete over in Europe, or they'll help fund some of these 3rd division continental or national teams to go over into Europe.
As for all South Americans, the prospect of racing in Europe is seen as a necessity for any ambitious Argentinian. Understandably, it's a daunting challenge for young racers hoping to make it to the top level.
It's not easy for us. Not easy for the South American cyclists to emigrate to Europe. And the races are not easy. We have a particular character. We're not so adventurous. We are very close to our families, and traveling the long distances has always been hard for us. I'm not just speaking for myself, but also for most South Americans, as we have the same character. For this reason, many cyclists have preferred to stay in Argentina or South America and dedicate themselves to track cycling, which offers the best support. But slowly, we came out and approached road cycling, and now we hope to continue down that route.
When I was in France, this was difficult for me because I was young. all my friends and all my family was in Argentina, so for me this was difficult. Of course, for training was better because better roads is a lot of roads and this, but my first season I was missing my family, friends, so this. Now it's better because I'm professional since 7 years, so now for me it's more normal to live in Europe. Also now I like to live in Europe, but I remember my first year this was difficult.
Giving Argentinian riders exposure to top-level races is one way the cycling governing body here hopes to develop both the interest in the sport and the ability of the riders too.
This level of competition at 2.1 helps us to generate enthusiasm within our younger categories, at the junior and under 23 levels. It also helps us to increase the number of riders, as well as produce the greatest number of talented cyclists. In doing so, this helps us to find potential riders for European and international cycling. What we need, therefore, is more competition and participation to gain experience and exposure in order to attract new sponsors, which in turn will sustain and enhance the work we do in Argentina with the goal of reaching a professional level.
You know, a win here, a good placing here can help launch you to the top. And in this case with Fernando Gaviria, a Colombian South American rider, that's a yellow jersey in the Tour de France, 2-stage wins. He beat Mark Cavendish in the stage 1 sprint, and we all thought, who the heck is this guy? And then he did it again, heads up, head-to-head with Mark Cavendish. And then his career was launched. Midway through that 2015 season, Patrick Lefevre from Quick-Step signed Fernando Gaviria, who we really only knew a little bit from the track.
The pressure to be noticed, however, has led to some taking a step too far to catch the eye at the Vuelta a San Juan. This year's King of the Mountains, Daniel Zamora, returned a positive EPO sample at the race, while 2018 overall winner Gonzalo Najar is currently serving a 4-year suspension. But there is hope. 19-year-old Oscar Bazan is part of a new generation of riders hoping to change this checkered image.
It's been 4 years since I've been on the bike. In the beginning of my career, I used to do road cycling and mountain biking. Last year, I had the opportunity to start cycling again. I signed for a continental level team, and we raced in Belgium. The goal is to keep the sport growing. There's no doubt that the level is really high. The races are from 4 to 5 hours long, and that's a big difference that I can see from here in Argentina. So over there are pro races, and those for me are the hardest. It's also where the better riders are, which is good for me.
Like Bazan, Nicola Tivani is on the lips of many in the know as a rider to watch. In 2018, he was a stagiaire for UAE Team Emirates in the World Tour. A victory in stage 6 of this year's Vuelta a San Juan did much to confirm Tivani's glittering future and that of Argentinian cycling.
I think that victory shows that we are on the right path in terms of the future of Argentinian cycling and gives us great desire and strength to continue our project to see more cyclists in Europe on a professional level.
Our top 5 this week looks at aerial sports. First up is indoor skydiving, where this year's World Championships saw 300 competitors from over 30 nations take part. They face wind speeds approaching 300 kilometers per hour, and entrants must impress with a series of compulsory and freestyle maneuvers within a set time.
Kicking comes from the Estonian word kick, which means swing. The feet of the competitor are fastened to the swing base, and the aim is to successfully complete a 360-degree rotation. The winner is the person who manages to complete a rotation with the longest shaft.
Tricklining combines the balance and coordination of slacklining with spectacular aerial stunts and gravity-defying feats. Competitors are judged on a number of rotations, the style of their tricks, and on the variety of combinations that they perform.
Swoop freestyle is a relatively new sport, started back in 2014. Competitors hurtle down to the ground from 1,500 meters in the air, build up to speeds of 150 kilometers per hour, and pull off tricks above a body of water before landing on a platform.
And finally, base jumping, an adrenaline junkie's dream come true. Base is an acronym that stands for 4 categories of fixed objects from which you can jump: building, antenna, span and earth. And only 2,000 people have managed to complete all 4 jumps.
Along the stunning coastline in the northwestern corner of Saudi Arabia, a new megacity called Neom is being developed bordering Egypt and Jordan. The site recently hosted the kingdom's first ever international beach sports tournament, aimed at reinforcing Neom's reputation as an exciting and visually spectacular sporting destination. It's been described as the world's most ambitious project, and sport plays an integral part.
Completely new destination. It's a new city. It doesn't really exist on the map. It's not here, and that's quite cool to be part of putting it on the map worldwide, not just in wakeboarding but in life. Really, they're trying to show that it's an outdoorsy kind of sporty environment, and so to be a part of that in the first ever event is incredible.
I've been competing for 20 years, almost 20 years, all over the world. I've been to some pretty cool places and pretty cool sites and many different bodies of water, but this has truly been one that's, you know, on its whole nother level, and I never thought I'd be riding on the Red Sea and it'd be so hot, and just the construction and everything going on here, it seems surreal. It's very cool to be a part of.
Neom is a really good athlete hub, and it's set out perfectly for everything an athlete would need, and yeah, it's definitely one of the coolest places that I've been.
The name Neom is derived from 2 words. The first prefix neo meaning new, and the 4th letter is an abbreviation of mustaqbal, an Arabic word meaning future. Neom, backed by the Saudi government at a cost of $500 billion, is designed to empower global talents and maximize human health and potential. The first day of competition saw the IAAF Neom Wakeboard Cup take place on the crystal clear waters of Gayal. 24 athletes from 16 nations participated in the event.
We have guys from all around the world, from several different countries, younger guys and older guys like myself, and it's a good group of athletes to be here in Saudi Arabia, bringing the sport of wakeboarding here.
Offshore action included a 4-day beach soccer tournament on the pristine beaches of Neom. It featured teams from across the globe, including Argentina, England, UAE, Egypt, China, host Saudi Arabia, and Oman, who went on to lift the trophy. As well as beach soccer, Neom hosted exhibition rugby and tennis matches, and more high-profile events are planned for the future.
To be one of the first people in a starting city is amazing. It's incredible. It's something that I can tell my kids when I have kids. They can tell their grandkids. We're making history, right?
It's exciting. I feel privileged to be one of the first athletes here in Neom, and I'm excited to see the development and the future of the city.
Liverpool, in the northwest of England, recently hosted the 2019 Vitality Netball World Cup.
Oh, city of culture, friendly, good coffee. I just want to live here now, I think.
Netball in the women's game, making relationship and friendship, confidence. I like it.
Over 10 days of nail-biting, thrilling action, 16 nations battled it out for the ultimate crown at the M&S Bank Arena. The organisers of the 15th edition of the Netball World Cup had a special vision to empower women and girls around the world. And according to event director Lindsay Impett, attendance figures in Liverpool exceeded expectations.
It's fantastic to see so many people coming out of netball, excited, happy, enjoying the event, and also getting in touch with local clubs in their area. We originally targeted between 60 and 75,000. 75,000 was the top end of what we thought we would get to. Yesterday we got to 108,000 tickets, which is absolutely fantastic. It means that every single team has played in front of big audiences, which is what we wanted to achieve.
A dedicated fan park was set up during the event, providing an array of activities for spectators.
I think it's important for fans to be given the opportunity to come together to watch the sport, but I think it's massively important for the sport. You know, 4-6 years ago, we never would have expected a fan park that for netball, where so many people would go and sit on deck chairs, watching, enjoying the sport, outside of those that purchase tickets to go into the venue. It's absolutely incredible, not what we ever expected it could be.
England has hosted a total of 3 Netball World Cups. The first ever World Netball Championships, as it was then known, took place in Eastbourne in 1963. Today, netball in the UK is on the rise. Ever since the Vitality Roses won gold at the 2018 Commonwealth Games, the sport has seen a huge spike in interest, with over 130,000 people taking up the sport in England. England's most capped player is Jade Clark.
The whole experience, it is like, I've been playing a long time and it's like nothing I've ever felt before. The amount of support, just from coming out of a hotel, people are cheering for us getting on the bus, and when we arrive at the arena, and just on court, that wave of noise, and you know it's all for you, and everyone is like willing you to do well.
Meanwhile, outside the main arena, there was a party atmosphere developing.
So what you can see behind me is the Malawian Zimbabwe fans that are coming out of their match. Their match has just finished, and they've absolutely brought the party to Netball World Cup. We've had this over the weekend. Every time that they've been playing, they are bringing joy to everybody. They walk into the venue when they've got an early match, and they walk past our office singing and dancing, and it just lifts everybody. It's absolutely fantastic atmosphere, and this event has really been about welcoming everybody from every nation, and I think that they really epitomise how much welcome they felt and how fun and exciting this event is.
Zimbabwe's netball minnows and their adoring fans provided the story of the event. The team, ranked 13th in the world, was making its debut at the World Cup and took the tournament by storm, finishing in 8th place overall. A remarkable feat for a side with limited financial resources and international experience.
We have come as underdogs, but we have shown everyone that we can do it, no matter what. And I'm so proud of my team, and I'm proud of Zimbabwe and all the supporters.
Meet Joyce Mvula, Malawi's star shooter. The 25-year-old scored over 200 goals during the tournament and has represented her nation in 3 Netball World Cups. Is this your favourite World Cup so far?
Yes, favourite because, you know, England is my home too, so it's like I'm on home cloud.
Joyce currently plays for English side Manchester Thunder, who recently won the 2019 Vitality Netball Super League title. She has relished the opportunity of playing abroad, but it does have its sacrifices.
At first it was tough because, I have a little kid at home, but I'm here to make food for him, so there's no problem. I'll get back home with something for him, yeah.
Malawi finished 6th overall behind Jamaica. The next World Cup will be held in South Africa in 2023.
Netball is really big back home, and we are now at a point where people are recognizing it, and it's not better only for us, but for everyone back home that really wants to be in our position. South Africa is really big and it's diverse, so the more netball can literally produce and can offer, I think it's the best for our country. So we obviously hosting in 2023 as well. It's just immense, and what's happening here is actually what the country would need, and I think we are at the right track. It's still going to be tough, but I'm still proud of where we are now.
England defeated South Africa to win the bronze medal. Captain Serena Guthrie has loved playing in a home World Cup.
We couldn't be more grateful, and it's not just about us, it's about the game in general. And I think in terms of this World Cup, the athletes were seeing the teams, how to prepare themselves, the flair and the flavour out there, and all these different cultures coming together has just been incredible. So it's a great advert for the game. I just hope it continues.
And in the final, New Zealand defeated Australia by just 1 goal to become the new world champions.
Earlier in the show, we asked you to name the most successful judoka in the history of the World Judo Championships. The answer is France's Teddy Riner, who has clinched 11 gold medals at the Worlds. He also has 5 European and 2 Olympic titles to his name. Standing at 6'8" tall, the 30-year-old has been so dominant in the 100-kilogram plus division that he remains unbeaten since 2010, having won over 130 consecutive bouts. He will not compete at the World Championships this year, though, with his attentions instead on the Tokyo Olympics next year.
In the heart of the Austrian Alps lies the picturesque Gastein Valley, the location of the recent Adidas Infinite Trails event. It sees amateur and professional runners compete together in relay teams of 3 over an undulating course almost 125 kilometers in length. This area is renowned for its natural beauty, hot springs and skiing tradition. But at this time of year, it's the perfect landscape for trail running.
On these old paths, where the Celts and the Romans found gold back in the day, where they brought the gold southwards over these passes, this is where the trail runners here in Gastein compete.
Here we have mountains with boulders that are technical. We have exposed ridges, but we also have the highest meadow summits of the Alps. The Hohentown National Park is the ideal playground for a sustainable event.
It's really my favorite place because we have a lot of trails and we can go to the flat or go to the uphill and these technical trails.
Here it's amazing because you have the woods, the mountains, snow, you have really high peaks, you have lakes, and well, the cities, the towns are amazing over here also.
The Adidas Infinite Trails course winds its way through this natural landscape, offering something completely different from what the competitors may experience on their normal training runs.
People are getting bored of the street because you never have the same trail, because all the places are different, no? So you enjoy it anywhere in the world and you have different experience.
Runners from more than 40 different countries took part in the Infinite Trails. Lo Teo travelled all the way from China.
Nowadays in China, everyone lives a fast-paced life, but more and more people realise how important it is to keep healthy. Trail running is not only a good way to help people keep fit, but it also brings people into nature to get away from the pressures of the city.
The sport is growing across Asia, and Lo hopes runners from his home country will soon challenge on the international stage.
I believe in the next 5 years there will be more Chinese trail runners competing on national level in Asia and around the world.
The Infinite Trails race in Austria kicked off at 4 o'clock in the morning. There were 333 teams. One runner from each team completed 25 kilometres of the course, another 60 kilometres, and the final runner in the team ran 39 kilometres. The competitors limbered up, albeit a little weary-eyed. The stands started to fill up despite the early call time. And Russia's Dmitry Mitayev got the race underway on the first loop, which had an elevation change of almost 2,000 kilometres. If the course wasn't difficult enough already, the runners had to wear head torches to see their way in the early morning darkness. "26-year-old Anton Palzer led the race up along the winding ridge between the Gastein and Grossal valleys. And despite pressure from Dmitry Mitayev, Palzer retained his lead on the tough climb up to the Gams Karkagel just as the sun was starting to rise in the distance. Meanwhile, in the women's race, Spain's Sila Avilés dominated. She managed to maintain a steady pace on Loop 1, which rose to almost 2,000 metres in altitude before dropping back down. It was on the decline that Mitayev managed to catch Palzer in the men's race. He was the first person to finish Loop 1, giving his teammate, Luis Alberto Hernando, a head start going into the second loop. Sila Avilés finished Loop 1 well ahead, giving her team a commanding lead of some 25 minutes. With an elevation change of 3,600 metres and a distance just short of 60 kilometres, Loop 2 was by far the most challenging section of the course. Two-time trail running world champion Luis Alberto Hernando set the pace out the front, but he was followed by China's Lo Teo, who managed to move his team into second place. Abby Hall led the women's race at the A station up to the Graukagal, a stunning, if not challenging, ridge run where technique and endurance are paramount. And on this rocky terrain, 41-year-old Luis Alberto Hernando was reduced to a walk, as too were his competitors. Once a Winter Olympian in biathlon, Hernando extended his lead on the way up to the Zittauer Teach. Hernando's teammate, Timothy Olsen, waited nervously at the finish of Loop 2 and was delighted to see the Spaniard come around the corner before anybody else. Hernando completed the 59 kilometres in 6.5 hours.
I'm very happy that I've been able to deliver and meet my team's expectations. They've been a great support.
China's Lo Teo finished Loop 2 in second place, more than 20 minutes behind Hernando. Despite losing some time, Abby Hall crossed the line first in the women's race, passing a 20-minute lead on to Kim Schreiber.
I'm super happy. It was really fun just kind of carrying the momentum Sheila brought in with her strong finish, and I just tried to channel that as much as I could.
In the men's race, Timothy Olsen took a sizable lead into the final loop, which included a run from the Yellow Kopf to the Wetterkreuz. Marcel Hohe maintained the Adidas Terex team's domination of the mixed category, but the women's race leader, Kim Schreiber, began to struggle on the Dorfgastein. Second-placed Jasmin Nunij from Switzerland was making up time, and quickly. With the sun shining and the crowd out, Timothy Olsen became the first athlete to arrive in Dorfgastein and bring home the victory for his team.
I'm so happy. After last year being canceled, my team, we all came back here with fire, and we wanted to do the best we could, and no matter what. And my teammates are amazing, so strong. They gave me a good lead, and I was able to finish it off.
The mixed team category was claimed by a team of Swiss and German competitors.
It's definitely hard to do a race like this with 3 people, because it's not just your performance that counts here. You lose together, you win together, and I'm so happy that we won.
Perhaps the story of the day happened in the women's race. Jasmin Nunij overturned a 20-minute deficit in Loop 3 to take the victory for her team.
I have given it my all in the race, and I had a feeling that I'd have a good day. To win in a team with these great athletes is amazing.
It was celebrations all round for those who won the race and those who had the stamina to complete it.
I think people's views on Paralympic sport, I've got to a stage where we're considered as athletes rather than it's good that they're doing it for a sport and they're good at getting out there. And I've had messages, I've had people write to me and say how much they've been inspired by seeing me, and not only just the tennis side of it, but the way we conduct ourselves and the way we speak and the way we're role models, and we've inspired them to get into disability sport, not just wheelchair tennis, but that's really humbling to hear.
At just 21 years old, Alfie Hewett has already established himself as one of the best wheelchair tennis players on the circuit. He has topped the world rankings in both singles and doubles. He has claimed 2 Grand Slam singles titles and a further 5 in doubles. And he also has a Paralympic silver medal to his name. Alfie was born with a congenital heart defect. He underwent open heart surgery at just a few months old. Age 6, he was diagnosed with Perthes disease, a rare condition that affects the hip. The condition means Alfie spends most of his time in a wheelchair.
I remember I was on my feet, I was a keen goalkeeper, I loved playing, I was playing tournaments every other week, I was playing for a club, I was training a lot, and I just started to develop a lot of pains in my knees and my thighs, and I remember just kind of putting it down to growing pains and not really thinking too much of it. And it wasn't until it got progressively worse and worse and I started to collapse. Day-to-day life, walking around, limping a lot. Yeah, I remember going into hospital, coming out a few weeks later after being in traction and being in a wheelchair and having to kind of change my life around, really. I remember being a kid going in a wheelchair at 7 years old, feeling lost, and sport gave me that purpose. And my grandma would take me every Wednesday evening, and my sister would come, my brother would go, and we'd play killer catch, which is quite a common game played, I think. And I remember just getting so excited every Wednesday lunchtime. It would come, and I'd get out there and I'd try and give it a go. I couldn't hit the ball, I was terrible. I could barely push with a racket, but just getting out there and playing sport again was really something I look forward to in the week.
Alfie has become one of the most feared players in the game. In his maiden Paralympics in Rio, the then 18-year-old clinched a silver medal in both the singles and doubles, but it is his first Grand Slam singles title that resonates most.
Yeah, I remember not actually crying, which is quite unusual for me because I'm a quite emotional player when I win things. But I remember just embracing the moment, and I was 6-love, 3-love down in the French Open final, getting absolutely pumped by Gustavo Fernandez, the Argentinian player, and I was just like, one game, just give me one game, please. I just don't want to be in my first Grand Slam singles final and get double donutted. So I remember getting that game, and it kind of just relaxed me. And then it just, I don't know, I can't even remember what happened really. It was all a bit of a blur. I just went from down here to kind of up here in amount of games and just completely turned it around.
Alfie has achieved most of his success in the doubles, notably with his compatriot Gordon Reed, who was Alfie's idol growing up. Together, they have won Wimbledon 3 times and the US Open twice. They've also reached the final at the other Grand Slams. Alfie has now surpassed his hero in the singles world rankings, but there is no animosity between them.
When we started playing against each other in the singles, and we just got used to it really, and it never was a thing, and you know, we're all obviously friends and we get on, and that's why we've succeeded so much. We really complement each other on the court. The chemistry and our game styles really suit, but he's been a great role model, and I don't forget that. He was there, he was always someone that I looked up to as I was coming up. I wanted to be like Gordon, I wanted to play like him.
Alfie juggles his tennis with his studies. He's currently completing a BTEC diploma in sports and exercise science at City College, Norwich. In whatever he does, Alfie wants to be the best. Stuart Wilkinson is his coach.
Alfie's potential was clear when he was 10 years old. He would do things that you shouldn't do, like hit a hard backhand down the line. In tennis terms, cross-court percentage is where it's at, and I loved that. He had no fear. He would always be aggressive, and if you want to win in tennis, you've got to take it on, and the people that take the chances, if they make it, that they win. So that was from his very first time.
Yeah, I'm competitive, I think is the word that someone would say. I've been known to throw a couple of the swear words out there at times, and the racket's flying everywhere. I don't think it's a bad thing. I mean, a lot of people will say, oh, tennis players need to be stonewall and need to be in the zone, show no emotion. But, you know, as long as you can forget about it and by the next point you're ready and you're raring to go, who cares what you do in that period, right?
In the next year, Alfie's focus will be Tokyo 2020 and attempting to be on the top step of the podium with gold around his neck.
It's probably one of my biggest goals in my career is to get a gold medal, and 2 silvers was amazing, and I've given myself quite a tough ask to go to Tokyo and get a gold, but it all comes down to the hard work, and that started 3 years ago really. You know, we're a year away now, but you know what we've done in the last couple of years, it builds up and it really adds, and I'm excited, you know.